What is up, everybody? This is Amlet from Badlands Backlogs, and this is our first sort of run through of a solo podcast thing we're trying. For the time being, we're going with the Bleep Bloop podcast from the old 360 days, the little sound notification when you used to get achievements or messages or whatnot. That was just something me and my friends used to. We would do like achievement races for days or weeks, and we'd always have to do like bleep bloop whenever you got an achievement, or whatever. So it's something that stuck with me. I thought it would be fun for a sort of Xbox centered podcast. For now, we're not going to be making any promises on like how often this is going to be happening, especially being a one person show and trying to get everything together while making content and stuff for the site and streaming on the side. It's definitely going to be sort of a toss up on how often until we get things more settled and on a streamlined effort here. Uh, we're looking though just kind of a general newscast going through like the past week of Xbox news, game releases, Game Pass additions, or stuff leaving the service, and just kind of talking and doing a general discussion of what's going on. I've always kind of been, at least where I live in the Midwest, kind of by myself on an Xbox deserted island. So getting people to discuss stuff with and like get other opinions on has always been kind of a struggle. So I figured doing a solo show like this would definitely fill that gap and hopefully be good content that people would want to interact with. Start getting people in here in the live show. Maybe do like a Q&A or trivia or something fun. And get some community interaction involved. For the time being, we're gonna be streaming on Twitch uh, TV / the Backlogs Games, posting that VOD to YouTube after the fact, and then hopefully get in the process of posting an audio version to at least Spotify podcast services for now. I'll have to look at the other options and like set up accounts and all the not fun stuff on that end of things. Excuse me. While I welcome all of you here to the show, though, we all should probably do a huge welcome to everyone at Activision Blizzard, as the acquisition after 2 years is finally concluded. I know this has been a weekly thing. Everywhere you look, something new is coming out about it. Some leaked documents are coming out about it. It's just been a whirlwind of news the past 2 years. But yes, finally, last week on the 13th, Phil Spencer announced that the deal has gone through. It is finalized. But realistically, this is just the start. There's still so much that the teams need to do to fully integrate in with one another and like have teams meet each other and get the whole system down, get new leadership in. Uh, they did come out and say that Bobby Kotick, our favorite Bobby from Activision, his contract has been shortened. I think he was supposed to be there through at least June or something of next year. He is now only going to be keeping his position until the end of 2023, which, thank God, I don't think anyone is going to be sad to see him go. It sucks that he's still getting a golden parachute probably on the way out, and be set for life. He probably won't need to pick up another thing after this. With how much money this deal had, that man can retire and just sink out of the public eye for hopefully the rest of time. But yes, Phil Spencer announced last Friday, October 13th, the deal has went through. Um, Accompanied with a very excellent video. Everyone's been talking about the video. It's just kind of a homage to Activision properties, Blizzard properties, and Xbox properties all kind of coming together. There's a really good line with I think it's Raynor Jim from StarCraft 2 saying it's been a or it's about time for how long this ordeal has been. And like I said, it's just a start. Phil has come out and said that they're not going to be pushing Activision games, Blizzard games into Game Pass anytime soon. So wait till 2024 for that. Um, Obviously, we knew ahead of time stuff like Diablo 4 and the newest Call of Duties are still going to be kind of staggered from when they launched to being put on the service. Call of Duty specifically, Phil Spencer yesterday joined the official Xbox podcast, which shout out to Tina and Malik and Jeff and all those guys giving that podcast a second run. That's great with Larry stepping out of the picture. But Phil was on there yesterday and did kind of lay it out on the table that Call of Duty going forward will be equal parity across all platforms. There's not going to be any pre-order on platform A and get beta early. There's not going to be platform-specific skins, cosmetics, operators, stuff like that. He wants it to be even playing field across the board, which good on him. Going in, if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have guessed that at least like the beta period would have been exclusive for Xbox or something along those lines. But him kind of wanting to break those barriers down and push on a new path ahead, I think, is really good. Also, in that podcast yesterday, he mentioned that last night he would be taking a flight to Stockholm and visit the King teams, see what they have working, which Candy Crush, I don't know what else they make. A bunch of mobile stuff, other Candy Crush-like games. But he's going to go visit them and their leadership and see what that team's passionate about. And then over the next few weeks, be visiting the different Activision teams, different Blizzard teams, just as kind of a get to know everybody. He wants to see what the teams are working on, what they would want to work on. He made the comment that if one of the new teams or even someone they've had within in-house of Microsoft wanted to visit an old IP that's been gone or something that people just haven't seen in a while or something that's been retired essentially, that he would be all in on letting them explore those possibilities, which I think is really smart, especially when you bring in Game Pass into the equation. As much as people still kind of hate on it as people don't buy games or whatever, it gives the studios kind of a safety net to do more creative things. Not everyone's fighting to have the next big AAA blockbuster. Not everyone's fighting to have Game of the Year contender. People can make their small, fun, silly things still. Uh, Thinking about it, it reminded me of Jose from Nintendo podcast at IGN, their old host, who I think works at Nintendo now. He always, I think it was him or Brian Altano, made the comment that Sony and Microsoft were big industry giants kind of doing things by the numbers to get the most profit back, while Nintendo was kind of like the weird little toy shop down the street experimenting with things and doing kind of whatever they wanted. If it worked, it worked. If not, great. And I feel like with Game Pass now that that's kind of where Xbox is. Because they have that safety net. Teams like Double Fine, who have kind of not struggled, I don't want to say, because they've always made great product, but teams that may have a harder time getting those big blockbuster experiences out can make their smaller passion projects or chase something that they've always dreamed about or just gone and explored other things. Sea of Thieves is another good one, I think, in that regard, where the teams wanted to make a pirate game like that since N64 days with Banjo Kazooie initially, what that initial original project was, and being able to launch it now in sort of a live service like that and get people in was really helpful. And now it's one of the most successful projects, I would argue, at Xbox. Um, so yeah, him being open to teams exploring stuff like that. I know you can go through a list of titles that people would want back, which I don't know licensing ways how that works. Because I saw people wanting like the old Transformer games back up from 360. Um, just a myriad of things that kind of get lost in the shuffle at that point of who owns what, who can publish what. Bobby Kotick at an in-house meeting made a Guitar Hero revival comment. Live service Guitar Hero coming, who knows? But that's where we're at now. There's deal's been done almost a week now. Hasn't really been any crazy updates. I don't, with how much staff and studios they just acquired, I'm not going to expect excuse me, I'm not going to expect like overnight changes. Definitely next year and later, especially if he's just now visiting with the teams on stuff they would want to make. Those projects are so incredibly far out, and I would honestly say probably next console generation at this point. I know people have been like, I specifically have been pushing for Toys for Bob, let them out of the Call of Duty machine, make a new Banjo, or just give me a 4K remastered Banjo Kazooie, something like that. Even something like that, that's at least 3, 4 years out of the way to do stuff like that now. So it's definitely a play in the long run on Xbox's part. But it's exciting. It's definitely, without doubt, the biggest acquisition in tech history ever, I think you could safely say, and probably for the foreseeable future, with how much struggle they had in court with the FTC, the different countries trying to block it in their own specific way, which that's the CMA finally went through um, and approved the, I don't even know what you would call it, amendment, the new side part of this, where in the UK, I believe, just the UK, Ubisoft is in charge of licensing Activision Blizzard games for cloud streaming. So it's not necessarily Game Pass. They can still have those games in Game Pass, but if you want to use them on xCloud or something like that, Microsoft would have to buy those rights from Ubisoft, which is just a weird thing because it's their projects to begin with. Like, that's their IP, that's what they're doing now. But once that was okayed by the CMA, everything fell into place. But I don't think another company, if Sony came out tomorrow and said they wanted to buy Take Two, I feel like they would be met with just as much scrutiny. And it's too much of a hassle at that point to get stuff like that done. Uh, do I think it's the end of Xbox acquisitions? Excuse me. Not necessarily. Uh, Off the top of my head right away, I think of places like Moon Studios, the Ori team. They've had a working relationship with them already. They're a smaller team, easier to pick up and help. They have that working relationship. Or Studio MDHR with Cuphead. Xbox was the first sort of company to push that at 83 conference and became that kind of like sleeper hit at the show because it was featured on stage with all these major big titles. I could see them easily coming back and wanting to partner up or continue a relationship with Xbox in that regard, in those regards. But it's exciting, just the amount of possibilities that could happen now with stuff being revived or crossovers. People joke about like an Xbox cart or an Xbox platform fighter or something like that, but really it opens so many doors that Xbox either didn't have a foot in before or were trying to break into, especially in the mobile space with King. It's definitely a nice piece and a nice place to be at going forward. Kind of to marry that, actually, now that it's done, uh, when was this exactly? Let me tell you. On the 16th, so 2 days ago, beginning of this week, Pete Hines from Bethesda, or I think Bethesda made the initial tweet something similar, but then Pete Hines, hour or so later, posted that he is setting to leave Bethesda. He does use the word retiring specifically. I don't know if he's at that point. I feel like you could easily see him join a smaller studio or something like that and help them out. But for audio listeners, I'll give a quick read through of what he posted here. After 24 years, I have decided my time at Bethesda Softworks has come to an end. I am retiring and will begin an exciting new chapter of my life exploring interests and passions, donating my time where I can, and taking more time to enjoy life. This is not a decision I came to easily or quickly, but after an amazing career culminating in the incredible launch of Starfield, it feels like the time is right. This is certainly not goodbye by any means. My love for Bethesda and its people has never wavered, and I will never stop being part of this incredible community we have grown. Thank you for the thank you to the hundreds of thousands of fans I've gotten to meet and talk to over the last 24 years. Your energy, creativity, and support has been such a big part of my journey. I look forward to experiencing the next part of the adventure alongside you. Working with the amazing people, teams, and studios at Bethesda has been the greatest experience of my life. I'm incredibly proud of everything we have done together, and I'm genuinely excited to see the amazing things they will create next. Which was kind of a shocker. Again, 24 years, I feel, in the gaming industry doesn't happen often unless you're like ahead of a studio. We always see countless times of hundreds of people being laid off, studios closing, doors being rotated, leadership rotating. 24 years at one place is insane to think about, honestly. Pete, I think up until this past year, I think 2022 is when he got his promotion, but most of his time was spent in PR and like marketing, the head PR marketing guy. So he was leading the charge, marketing stuff. I mean, everything that Bethesda you know them for. Fallout 3, Skyrim, Oblivion, Dishonored, all these things he was a part of and arguably an integral part of getting that name out there and pushing those projects out to the masses. Uh, there has been some, I don't even really want to talk about it, but there's been some conspiracy theorists online who think he left because of the Activision Blizzard deal. They're from the court case earlier in the year. One was that June, June, whatever the court case was. He had emails leaked and in court openly expressed his not distrust, but he wasn't as excited about the deal as everyone else was. He was very vocal about the fact that Bethesda was sort of forced to switch to being an exclusive studio and taken off other platforms like PlayStation. But Activision would still be allowed to be multi-platform, and he was very vocal about that. Wasn't sure why that was the case, and a lot of people are pointing that little instance as his whole reason of retirement. But 24 years, let the guy go. If he, I mean, more power to him being able to say he's done something for 24 years at a studio he has loved, that's created amazing projects over and over again. Uh, it's just sad to see. Here's, let's see where Bethesda's was any different. I think it was pretty much the same. Yeah, Senior Vice President, Head of Publishing for Bethesda Softworks, has announced his decision to retire. Public presence was only a small part of his role at Bethesda, although the way he represented us carried over in the values he nurtured here: authenticity, integrity, and passion. His contributions have been integral in building Bethesda and its family of studios into the world-class organization that it is today. His vision helped push us forward, and his hard work inspired us. We're thankful for his 24 years of leadership and wish him the best in his next chapter. Which it's, I mean, good on Pete. He did what he wanted to do, went out on his own terms, hopefully. I don't think Xbox at this point would be trying to push people out, especially days after the Activision deal. I feel like they'd want to kind of keep that good news going. But good for him. It's definitely a change. I wonder what sort of, if any, if they have something in place to keep Todd there. Because Bethesda without Todd sounds weird. So I wonder when they had their acquisition of them before, if there is something in the contract to have Todd sign on for X amount of years or something along those lines. Again, I don't know if they would necessarily do that, but it's just something to think about. Because, yeah, imagine. I think we can safely say we at least have the next Elder Scrolls with Todd in charge, but after that, then what? Who's sort of the mastermind creating the next big RPG from Bethesda? Or do they kind of step back? Now that we got, oh my god, who is it? Excuse me. Nerves of doing a solo show. Excuse me. Now that we got Obsidian on board, Fallout New Vegas, like, do we let Obsidian go back, do another side Fallout thing? Do we let, who knows at this point, you know? There's so many different options of where they could take it. yeah, just seeing leadership like this always sucks. Even with Larry at the beginning or a couple months ago, that sucked. Larry's always Major Herb for you that don't know is sort of like the face of Xbox, especially in the 360 days. If there is an advertisement or a video read over this week on Xbox or the official Xbox podcast, it was Larry, and he had a good radio voice. And even having him leave after however long he was there, like that sucked. He was the guy. Changes are hard. I don't like change in general. Seeing people that I really look up to and admire sucks even worse. With that though, looking here, we do have. That's mostly all the news. The news has been Activision Blizzard for years, months, weeks. It's going to continue to be Activision Blizzard. That's sort of where we're at now. We did recently have with game releases on Xbox, the fall season, everything's sort of hitting up. Call of Duty's in a couple weeks. This year's been nuts in general. But last week on the 10th, we did get Forza Motorsport released to mixed to okay reviews. I'm really enjoying it. I still think I'm a Horizon guy overall. The more open world aspect and less simi racer is more my style. Motorsport feels like something I need to be knowledge invested in, which I'm not with vehicles or cars to do my own tuning or do all this stuff to make my vehicle better. But it's a pretty game. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm going through doing races on my free time. End of the night, hop on, do a track or two. Sea of Thieves Season 10 launches tomorrow, I believe, the 19th, October 19th, which I wish was more. They're introducing the new Voyage type, which, okay. We're getting guilds introduced, which is sort of how guilds work in MMOs almost. You can, like, register people's ships if they own their own ship already to fly your flags and stuff they do you will get rep for and gold and rewards for when you log back in. So everyone's kind of bundling their resources and stuff to a common goal, which is fun. I like the idea. I have a few people I play with, but I can definitely get 2 or 3 other ships with me. And my friend Wyatt gets on, does a couple missions, and I log in as the leader of the guild and get rewards from it. Like, that's a neat idea and way to stay involved and see what of your friends are on, if they have open spots on their ships. Group customizations and unlockables and stuff like that's fine. And then also in Season 10 for Sea of Thieves is Safer Seas, which I'm okay with. They're essentially taking the PvP out of the game. So when you log on, you will be able to sail in your own private server. No other players there with a hit to... I think you only get reputation and gold at 30% of what you normally would as sort of a deterrent. And I think the reputations of like Gold Hoarders, Order of Souls, stuff like that, caps at level 30 or 40, so you can't reach Pirate Legend. You still eventually have to sail out into the main game. But I definitely see its uses. Sea of Thieves is it's an easy game to get into and like understand kind of what you need to do, where you need to go, how to do your ship, control your ship, sailing, all that. But really getting the mechanics and the nitty gritty is a hard thing to learn. And the people that do play still, you're either going to meet really friendly people who are going to help you out and want to see you succeed, or you're going to meet a grade 5 Reaper of Souls emissary who's camping new ships because they can't fight other people, actually. So the Safer Seas option is dope. I'm definitely going to use it. I'm missing 1 or 2 fish for catching one of each fish achievement, and one of them is like insane luck in storms, or you just wait for a storm to pass over the unmarked island at K9 on the map, which I'm definitely going to use Safer Seas for that because I want my fish, I want my achievement, and I'm sick of trying to fight for it and die with it and whatever. So I'm definitely going to be using that. Yesterday, October 17th, Diablo Diablo 4 Season 2 launched, I think. It's been kind of up in the air. I think they delayed it till the end of the day yesterday or late into the evening because they were having issues. But that adds in a new quest line, 5 new endgame bosses, and then a whole array of aspects, glyphs, and weapons and armor and stuff to add perks and buffs and what have you to your gear. So good for them. I know that game definitely needs its sort of shot in the arm. After its initial launch, they definitely went down a bit in player base. Halo Infinite Season 5 also launched, which super excited. Kyle the Fish, our follower here on Twitter, has been playing, having a great time. I've been able to do a game or two before work each day. I'm sadly leaving town tomorrow as the day I'm recording this, so I won't be able to jump into it for a bit, but that adds 2 new maps, which one of them I think I read is supposed to be like the base that the Needler was created at. Like it's full of like the purple crystals all over the walls and ceilings in a cave system sort of thing. New 50 tier battle pass. They added, which I don't know why they didn't have this to begin with because it sounds dope. If you reach max rank on multiplayer, you get a new redesign of Master Chief's armor to play with the multiplayer, which is dope. New game mode Extraction, which I believe is from Halo 5. Uh, if my memory serves, I believe it's multiple points on the map, like 3 at once, that you're trying to take over and like bring back to your home base, sort of like a multi-flag capture the flag, I think. And then a huge pages long of Forge improvements. They've added AI mapping to create your own sort of scenarios with enemies. They've just new biomes, new items, new everything. I've seen people make. I just saw before recording someone made like a Pokemon battler where they're actually throwing like Pokeballs out into a field and summoning enemies to fight each other, which is just nuts. I've never been one for Forge games or making my own stuff, but seeing what people makes just insanity at this point, and how much AI and like behind the scenes stuff they're opening up for these teams is awesome. Uh, and then to end off the week, 2 days, October 20th, my birthday. Friday, we're getting not Xbox, but Spider Man 2 on PlayStation 5, which has been highly reviewed. I'm sure it's going to be excellent. I can't wait to play and try it out myself. I wasn't as big of a fan of Spider Man 1 as some other people were, but it was definitely a great time, and I'm super excited for the second one. And also on Friday on Switch, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which I may pick up for once. I don't remember the last 2D Mario game I played. I'm usually a 3D guy, and my Switch overall is probably like by far my least played console. But I definitely am intrigued by the changes they did to this one and all the different mechanics that they've added in. Uh, Moving on, Game Pass updates. I know there's a few leaving I couldn't find right away, but there is a few, I think either Friday or Tuesday that are stepping out. But Like a Dragon Ishin launched on the 17th of this week, which I want to be excited for, but it came out at such a bad time. I think that released originally in February or March at the beginning of this year, and just now hit Game Pass when The Man Who Erased His Name comes out in like 2 weeks, which I'm more interested in that. And then the next Like a Dragon is coming out in February, beginning of February, end of July, or end of January next year. So they're super close together, and it's just hard to fit those games in. They're so massive, so much side content. Tomorrow, F1 Manager 2023 is also introduced, dropping into Game Pass. 24th on PC Game Pass only, City Skylines 2. I know that game's having some sort of issues with the console version that's been delayed. I think it's frame rate related or just overall bugs that they're trying to iron out. So I think the console version is coming out beginning of next year now. Big surprise to me and something I'm definitely excited to check out as I've never touched the series once. October 26th, the Dead Space remake is coming out. The new one that just launched at the beginning of the year is launching. Also 26th is Minako's Night Market, which I'm excited about. It's sort of a, I don't want to say farming simulator because that's not what I want. Let me give you here. Welcome to Mount Fugu, a cozy Japanese-inspired village with a great mystery to unfold. Join Minako in her new hometown where she'll make new friends, collect and craft whimsical items, revitalize the once thriving night market, and uncover the truth of the great sun cat Nico. which it's just a cute art style. I'm super intrigued. Every time I've seen this at every showcase this year has just been a delight. Frog Detective, The Entire Mystery, October 26th. If you haven't seen these yet, they're just kind of quirky, puzzly games. This is the collection of the first three Frog Detectives, which I think the first one was like 2018. So this is a collection of all three of those now in one bundle for you. And I I forget where this was at. I think Xbox Showcase this year, but Headbangers Rhythm Royale. Uh, it's like Fall Guys mixed with Guitar Hero, mixed with Pigeons, mixed with I don't even know. It's wild and crazy. It's a rhythm based battle royale, different challenges and things to remember. Compete in different rounds to make it to the end as your favorite pigeon. I don't know. It's crazy and wild. I'm sure it'll get a good following. And then also from the showcase this year is Jusant, which was the super unique climbing game. As weird as that sounds. Embark on a climbing adventure in Jusant. Master your climbing tools as you ascend a mysterious, ever-changing tower. Enjoy an atmospheric soundtrack and breathtaking biomes, accompanied by the enigmatic ballast. Your watery companion will guide you while awakening nature along your path to reveal the tower's mysteries and reach the top. Which it looks great. It's by Don't Nod. So, Remember Me back in 2013. Life is Strange in 2015. Something new for them, but it looks really cool. Here's the list of stuff. Leaving October 31st is so Halloween. Persona 5 Royale was the big one I was thinking of. If you haven't jumped into that, highly recommend. I got stuck at the 6th boss and quit and raged and never came back, but I may try and get back to it. Signalis, Kill It With Fire, Gunfire Reborn, and Celeste Crown of the Magister are also leaving October 31st. Like I said, I wouldn't expect any Activision games. They straight up said any Activision games till 2024 in Game Pass, but still something to look forward to. And that's sort of been the week. Like I said, it's been Activision. It's constantly Activision. But I think that's going to do it here. Just a quick, we got a half-hour show. Probably what these are going to end up being with myself. I'd like to eventually have guests and maybe like branch out and like talk about why we play games, people's interests and stuff, and really expand this to something new. But thank you guys for joining. If you want to follow us, we have some articles on the Badlands backlogs.squarespace.com. We got our Forza Motorsport first impressions, Final Fantasy 16 review, Sea of Thieves, a discussion of why I think that's my favorite game on Xbox to ever release, which is wild to say for something that's still happening, but I absolutely am in love. So you can check us out there. Also, the twitch.tv/the Backlogs Games. And on Twitter/X at... I just switched everything, so we had to switch to a new name. Badlands Backlog on X. You can find us there. We're always trying to keep stuff updated. Thank you guys for joining, and that's going to be the end of our episode 1 for the Bleep Bloop podcast. Thank you guys for stopping by.